I'm Deconverted Man, and this is Matt Slick's Condemning Homosexuality is Practicing Discrimination, and this is wrong page. Discrimination is not automatically bad. We have to stop right there. We can't go further. I can't read the rest of the words. I have to stop. On the page labeled is CARM homophobic, Matt Slick concludes with this phrase, words mean things, which is odd considering the last video that MacLachlan covered where we saw that the definitions that he used were either completely wrong, made up in many cases, and at no point does he tell us which dictionary he got any of these words from. So I guess words mean things, but only what he thinks those words mean, I guess. And while we're on the subject, this is how he defined radical right, a derogatory term used to describe conservatives who do not adhere to supporting homosexuality or homosexual rights. Really? No, there's a lot more going on with the radical right than that. As far as it being a derogatory term, I don't know about that. I think that that's opinion and not an actual definition. And let's go back to this. So discrimination is not automatically bad. Well, let's look at what Matt Slick's definition of discrimination is. Matt Slick's version of discrimination is the practice of separating prejudice or hatred against a person or persons based on gender, race, age, etc. Etc.? Really? I guess the etc. would also include sexual orientation, right? I'm just saying, you put etc. there, so okay. So going back to this, since discrimination has etc. attached to it, I guess Matt Slick feels that discrimination can be about anything. I can discriminate against orange tax versus purple tax. I like purple tax better than orange tax, thus I'm discriminating against orange tax. I guess that is how Matt Slick views discrimination, although that's not how I view it, and that's certainly not how a dictionary would define it. But we don't have any dictionaries to go on because he doesn't give us any, so I don't know what the bleep to do at this point. Oh well, whatever. Anyways, using the idea that it can mean anything, I guess, so he continues with that he discriminates on the kinds of foods he eats, the programs that he watches, the movies he lets his kids see. Let me pause again. His kids are all grown up. He doesn't have kids anymore. This is absolutely an outright lie. No! I'm disconnecting the phone. I'm not going to even bother with that phone right now. In fact, we all discriminate. I guess if we're using Matt Slick's version of the word discriminate, then I suppose that would be true. Because he put etc. there at the end of discriminate. So, yeah, I guess. Well, wait a minute. He said against a person or persons. So even though he put, based on gender, race, age, etc., so even though he put that etc. there, which makes it very vague, like, how many other things are there that are attached to that? I don't know. But this is a person or persons, right? So let me just overlay his definition of discrimination over this. So, kinds of foods you eat, unless you're eating people, that's not discrimination. The programs you watch, those aren't people, those are programs. The movies that you let your non-existent kids, because they're all grown up and not kids anymore, see, well, okay, your kids are people, but the movies are not people. So, no, none of those things are discriminate based on your own definition of what discriminate means. Given that, I think then it follows that the conclusion we all discriminate would be false. Because these examples aren't examples of discrimination. They're examples of picking something over something else, but not discrimination. It's choices, it's selection, it's judgment. It's not discrimination. It's some other word, but it's not discrimination. So no, we don't all discriminate. At least by the definition that he gave. Some people do discriminate against people or persons based on age, race, gender, sexuality, etc. We all have criteria by which we judge what is and what is not acceptable. I agree, except for the counter example of, say, a sociopath. They don't really have that ability necessarily. And there might be other mental conditions that I'm unaware of that prevents people from doing judgment on what is and isn't acceptable. So most of us have some sort of criteria by which we judge what is or isn't acceptable, which is exactly what you're talking about here. I judge what programs I should watch. I judge what movies I should let my grown-ups kids watch. In fact, we all judge. That would have worked, see? So then judgment is not automatically bad. I judge what kinds of foods I eat. I judge the programs that I watch. I judge the movies that I let my now growing up kids go to see. In fact, we all judge. That would have worked really well. But because the page is called Condemning Homosexuality as Practicing Discrimination and This Is Wrong, we can't use the word judgment here because it would make the whole idea of this looking like an argument not work at all. I discriminate against child molesters, and I will not let them be with my children unattended. This is twice now that he's brought this up. This red herring of child molester, homosexuality. They're both in the same area here. It's unnecessary, okay? You're making a horribly piss-poor argument already. It's completely unnecessary to include this little bit here. And besides, it's not discrimination. It's, I judge that it would be a bad idea to leave my children alone with somebody who is a known child molester. I discriminate against various theological teachings that contradict the Bible. I discriminate all the time, and so do you. Well, discriminating against theological teachings, that's not a person, that's an idea and a group of ideas, so that's not discrimination. I judge various different theological teachings, and I judge them to contradict what I think the Bible says. I judge all the time, and so do you. And even saying it that way, I think, would still be unfair, because there might be somebody that doesn't judge all the time. There might be somebody who is incapable of judgment. So I would say that most of us, or many of us, judge a lot of the time, or about many things, or something to that effect. But I wouldn't say it the way that Slick said it here. In fact, just for a little bit of fun, just bear with me as I go off into one of my tangents that I sometimes do. Okay, I do that a lot. Here's how I would write it if I was writing this, which I wouldn't be, but if I was. Condemning homosexuality, from your view, might seem like discrimination, and that might seem wrong from your perspective. By Deconverted Man, by Dan Green, my fake made-up name that you can drop all you want. Your view is not based on my view and understanding of the scriptures in the Bible. Here are the scriptures in the Bible that I think point out that homosexuality is a sin. Here's the versions of the Bible that I'm using, and here is the research that I have done to back up the idea that these verses mean what they say, even in their original language, and they don't mean something else due to translation errors, because I'm going to be honest with you and admit that the Bible is not inerrant. The Bible does have flaws. Therefore, go to this page to find out how I did all that. Having said that, based upon my views of these scriptures with the research that I have done, I think that I need to speak out against this because I believe that it is a sin based upon my research of what the Bible says and my conviction that the Bible is true. Therefore, from my point of view, discrimination against homosexuals is okay. From your viewpoint, you might disagree. I hope that after you read how I have analyzed and scrutinized the Bible, that you'll come to agree with me. And if not, then I have failed in my endeavor to persuade you to my opinion. Something like that. It's off the top of my head, okay? But I'm being honest. I'm not mincing words. I'm saying that these are my beliefs and not yours. I'm recognizing the fact that other people have other beliefs besides myself. I'm giving you an argument to look at and analyze. I'm telling you the reason that I think that this is okay is because I think that it's in the Bible, and I think that I've got how to look at the Bible correct, and I'm going to back that up with some sort of argumentation that you have to go read. Matt Slick doesn't do any of that, because that would require work, effort, energy, and a level of integrity that he just doesn't possess. Anyways, back to the article. When it comes to homosexuality, I believe that God has condemned it as a sin, Romans 1:18. But my agreeing with God that homosexuality is a sin is not the same as discriminating against homosexuals. Pause. Alright, so finally we get the admission, I believe that God has condemned it as a sin. But then in the very next sentence, that changes to, I agree with God. No, it should stay consistent. I believe that God has condemned it as a sin. And because I believe that, I also believe that I'm not discriminating against homosexuality or homosexuals in general. Even though, by my own definition, I am, I believe that I'm not. Now, if, again, this was me writing it, I'd have some sort of resource and links and argument to go along with this, which we don't have here. But nonetheless, it is a start of a true statement, and then all of a sudden, it's not a true statement. It's a half-truth. Because your belief that this is what God has said doesn't make it what God has said. So you can't agree with God. You can only agree with what you believe God has said. There's a difference. Words mean things. I have no problem working with homosexuals in a secular environment. Hold on a moment. A secular environment. Now, Matt Slick runs CARM. That's his livelihood as far as I know. He makes money from doing that. He makes money from doing ministry stuff, selling books, yada yada. He's not in a secular environment. So, he doesn't work in that field that I'm aware. He used to. He was like a computer guy. And that's pretty cool. But at any rate, so he has, in theory, no problem working with them in a secular environment. So, if he went to a church to minister and found out that the sound guy was gay, he'd be like, no, I can't work here anymore. That guy is gay. I can't work with a gay person. That's wrong. That's a sin. That's evil. We've got to fire him. Either you fire him or I'm not doing this gig that you paid me for. Right? That in areas of religion or religion-related things that he would be connected to. If he found out that anyone was homosexual, he'd demand that they would be fired. He wouldn't work with them. He wouldn't tolerate their presence there. Am I reading into it here, viewers, or not? You tell me. But I think that that's what this is saying. That oh yeah, sure, it's fine if they're in the secular arena. I can't do anything about that. But they come into my church. Oh man, I'm gonna discriminate against them. I'm not gonna hire a homosexual to do anything in my church, no matter what. So let's just say somebody that's completely, utterly stone cold broke walks into a church that Matt Slick is running or helping to run, and he actually gets to say yes or no to the hiring, and the guy tells this story of how he's been on the street for years and he's totally out of money and he's desperate and he needs a job and a shower and he needs Christian love. And Matt's like, oh yeah, sure, we'll hook you up with all that. And he's like, yeah, and it's so hard because I'm gay. And then Matt's like, kicks him out the door. Just bam, out the door. I don't want nothing to do with you because you're gay. You can't work here because you're gay, right? And maybe they wouldn't even clean him up because it's sin anyways. So why bother, right? Oh well. Anyways, back to the article. I have no problem with homosexuals being my neighbors, but I do have a problem with them renting a room in my house, as we learned earlier, but forget about that part. I have no problem working out in the gym with homosexuals. Wow, I think that does protest too much, Matt Slick. In things like these, I don't discriminate. Well, it's nice to know that there are certain situations that you're fine with homosexuals being around you. Is it okay that the homosexual goes into the shower room with you? And open shower room where everybody's showering? Or is that not okay? Is that something that you would discriminate against? Let's just say the guy working out with you, next to you doing the jogging machine. Not that you work out, I don't think, given your weight. I really have a problem thinking that you actually go to work out in a gym. But nonetheless, maybe you do. I doubt it, but maybe you do. So he's wearing a rainbow shirt and he's got gay pride all over it, and he's like, yeah, I'm gay, woo, and he's just out, and you're like, all right. And then you both happen to go towards the shower at the same time. Do you stop and wait for him to finish? Or do you go in there not caring? This is something that actually was brought up with homosexuals being out in the open in the military. They were scared spitless. They didn't know how to, but they're going to be showering with people. Dude, when I was in boot camp, yes, once upon a time I was in the military, I looked at the floor and scrubbed myself as fast as I could and got the heck out of there as quickly as possible. Because it was embarrassing being naked around other people to me. And I always tried to go in last. I wasn't always successful in doing that. And eventually, it got to the point where I didn't care. I wasn't looking at anyone. And if they were looking at me, I don't know, and I don't care. Anyways, I'm back to the subject at hand. I'm just kind of curious as to what Matt Slick would answer that question. Not like he answers questions, but would you go into a open shower with a known homosexual guy, or would that be something you discriminate against? Because that's clear indication of homophobia, which you claim to not have. Likewise, I would agree that someone should not be fired from a job in the secular realm because he or she is homosexual. I think that is wrong, not because it's based on sexual orientation, but because we should treat everyone as equally as possible. Well, that's interesting. Unless it's in the non-secular sector. If it's in a church, we can discriminate the bleep out of whoever we want for whatever reason we want. But if it's... So he should be okay with that law that he cited in Colorado that said, hey, you know what? Churches are allowed to discriminate. The bleep with it. Moving on. Furthermore, because of my religious beliefs and my right to express them, why does he keep including this? I have a right to express these beliefs. It's like he feels like he has to justify that he can say whatever he wants. Like, I know I'm reading into it again, but I'm just getting this feeling like it's like I have the right to express my beliefs. Anyways, I would not promote homosexuality, nor would I change my preaching and teaching so as to not to quote offend quote those who think that having sex with people of the same gender is perfectly normal and morally acceptable. So even if, theologically speaking, we could show him that he was wrong, he wouldn't change his position. Is that what I'm thinking I'm supposed to conclude here, maybe, possibly? Oh, that he would never change his mind no matter what? No. That can't mean what I think it means. Anyways. The fact of the matter is I'm offended by their lack of moral sensibilities. Wait. I thought that this was a sin issue, not a moral issue, but I guess the two are linked. But you're offended by them. Why? Why? Okay, they're sinning. I'm just going to grant that for now. Why are you offended? Isn't that God's job? To be offended or to be the judge? Judge not, lest ye be judged. God has the right to judge, not man, etc. You know, all that stuff that's in the Bible, right? Or am I reading it wrong? I don't know. I don't have Matt Slick's version of the Bible in front of me. So, wow. Really? I mean, just it makes your mind explode. I don't know what else to say here. But no one seems concerned about how I am offended or how I feel. No one cares about me. or the intrusion of homosexuality into society and TV and the movies and everything else I can't think of. I'm just gonna say etc. Why doesn't anyone care what Matt Slick thinks? Yeah, you know, I might actually care what you have to say on the matter if you had a, I don't know, logically coherent argument, or scientific data, or something. No, you don't, so I don't care what you think. Besides, what you think is just an opinion. So who cares about that? You're going to use that later in the summary, so I'm doing that now. Oh, poor Matt Slick. Nobody cares how he feels. He's just so persecuted, and no one cares. Even though the majority of evangelistic Christians are on his side with this issue, oh, just no one cares. Catapult monkey. I know it's not even it's not even pancake. It's trebuchet waffle. Whatever. Back to the article. I'm losing my mind. It's Matt Slick's fault. To say that condemning homosexuality is wrong is a statement dealing with morality, not with legality. Wow, red herring. The law, the law, the law. The law, but the bleeping law. What? Whatever. Moving on. There might be various laws for and or against homosexuality, and that's a problem if there are laws against homosexuality. And in fact, he seems to think that some of the laws, like the one that in Colorado was pro-homosexual, so that was bad. And he thinks that the suspending of the teacher in Florida was also bad. So which is it? Is it you're okay with homosexuals in secular society or not? Which is it? You can't have it both ways. Okay, so it's a moral issue. Fine, it's a moral issue. I agree, it's a moral issue. But it is also a legal issue. Because there are laws against this. And there shouldn't be. And there are not laws that enable a homosexual person to get married and or adopt and many other things, because we are discriminating against them in our secular society, which you argued before was a good thing. You want society to not allow them in so that they would ruin the moral fabric of society. You cannot have it both ways. You can't say in one article, well, it's fine if they would just leave it alone, if they wouldn't be, always asking for equality, then it would be fine. And then in the other article say, I'm fine with them having equality. Get your hypocritical rear end on CARM and fix these pages so that they all are non-contradictory with each other, okay? I know you're not going to fix them to the way that I like, but at least make it so that you're not contradicting your own stupid self, you moron. Seriously. Lobster original deity, save us all. Alright, I'm okay now. Just had a little bit of a rant. I'm fine. Back to the article. My question then would be, by whose standards is something right or wrong? And what justifies that standard as being valid? Yes, I know, a homosexual could ask me the same question, and we could debate it, but that's another conversation that I'm not going to include. I'm not going to, actually go find a homosexual Christian to debate and then link to the debate so you can decide who won that debate. No, that would take work and effort and energy and integrity that Matt Slick doesn't have. So, yeah. So we get the whole where does morality come from question put in amongst this mess of article. But surely, Deconverted Man, it doesn't get worse. Surely, Deconverted Man, it gets better after this. No, it doesn't. If an atheist, nothing good can come of this sentence. Nothing. There can be. We're on a red herring. Here we go. If an atheist were to say that condemning homosexuality as a sin is morally wrong, then on what basis does such a statement gain its moral objectivity by which a blanket accommodation can be made? If someone says that the majority of society determines what is right and wrong, that is called the fallacy of argument ad populum. Just because the majority of people think something is right or wrong doesn't make it right or wrong. So, where is morals? What is morals? What does this have to do with anything? If I'm to talk to an atheist, red herring, because why bring atheism into this? Where we're talking about homosexuality, not what an atheist may or may not say. Ethics, which is always seeming to... please, somebody direct me to an apologetic website that says ethics alongside of morals. Somebody somewhere has to know of something. All I've ever seen is morals. I've never seen ethics mentioned. But anyways, ethics and morals are governed by society. Like it or not, accept it or not, believe it or not, that's how it works. It's not an argument ad populum, because that would be to say that we agreeing that X is the right way to do things means that that is the right way to do things. We're not saying that. We're saying we believe that X is the right things way to of the. Therefore, society is a bunch of syrup that you pour on your head and set fire to porcupines as you eat cactuses. What? Okay. Alright, so, what was I saying? Oh, right. I'm sorry, I'm back now. Whether or not Matt Slick likes it, ethics and morals are a byproduct of the society in which we live. The ethics and morals that surrounded you as you grew and developed and aged help to define you as a person. If you are somebody who grows up around shooting and killing and violence, and you're given a gun as a small child, and you're told to kill these people because they're evil and bad and nasty, your morals and ethics are governed by that situation. And it is extremely hard to fight against that sort of overwhelming feeling that this is what you're supposed to do, because everyone else around you is doing it. Some people are able to stand up and say no to injustice. Sometimes we get people that say, I just am not going to get out of this bus seat. It's not going to happen. You can arrest me. You can throw me off the bus. I'm tired. I'm worn out. I'm old. I'm not moving from this bus seat. And Rosa Parks was brave for doing that. Simply for not moving. I'm not going to move. I'm not going to comply with this idea. For that reason, for people like that say no to society, like Gandhi, I'm gonna do something about this. I'm going to protest. For people, the rare people like that, like the girl that just recently won the Nobel Prize, surrounded by we shouldn't educate girls, says no, we must educate women. We have to educate girls. And we're going to, whether you guys like it or not. They shot her for that. She survived, and she's still going strong with this message. These rare individuals could not and would not exist in a society run by Matt Slick. He doesn't want equality. He doesn't want morals to be governed by the collective whole. He wants morals to be dictated from a deity. But the problem is, everyone has a different deity. And everyone can say, well, but my deity says that you're wrong. Then you have this impasse. Because you say, I have an absolute moral standard that cannot and will not be challenged. Period. This is the way it is, and that's it. Period. It's not going to change. It's always going to be like this. There's nothing you can do. I will kill you, and I will die to defend my idea that this standard is true. Versus the secular morality that says, let's look at these things. Let's embrace change. Let's look at humanity and figure out what humanity is and what it can be and what our ethics and morals can become. Let's not set
that this is a precedent that can never be challenged and never be changed. Let's say we can always change it, and we can always reevaluate it, and we can always question it. Because only by doing that can we get to some sort of point where we evolve ethics and morals to a better and better system that serves the most amount of humanity and excludes, hopefully at some point, nobody. We're not even close to that yet. The divine command theory, DCT, destroys ethics and morality because it says this is what you do and you do it. You can't say no to it. You have to do it. If God tells you to kill everybody in your family, you kill everybody in your family. Period. There is no morality when you follow a deity without any questions asked. There are no ethics. It is blind obedience to a slave master. That's all it is. So, when a person objects on moral grounds to my objections or other Christians condemning homosexuality as a sin, he or she has no objective moral basis by which he or she can make such an assertion. At best, all he or she is doing is giving his or her opinion, and it would be arrogant to think that his or her opinion is the standard of morality for everyone else. Condemning homosexuality practice as a sin is not discriminatory in a legal sense, but it is one in a spiritual sense, and that is alright. Matt Slick's a douchebag. So what we have here is the old, worn-out moral high ground of I have a God who dictated what is right and wrong, therefore I'm right, and you can't say anything about it because you don't have a God. But even if you do have a God, then you have a false God, so you're still not right. You're only right if it's my God. So if you happen to have the same God but have a different opinion, then you're wrong because you didn't interpret the Bible correctly. Let me just go ahead and do that for you. Even though the people will do the same thing with their Bible, and that's why there's so many divisions in Christianity. Because it's not a matter of what it really says, it's a matter of what their opinion is on what it says. And Matt Slick uses this idiotic, and that's what it is, idiotic argumentation, quote unquote. I don't have enough quotes in the multiverse to put around this argument that it's just an opinion, so it doesn't matter. Opinions can be right or wrong too. Just because it's an opinion doesn't mean it's automatically right or wrong. And you know what? Opinions are great, and different opinions are great. I want to hear them. I want to listen to them. I want to understand what the other side has to say, but that's not what we want if we're Matt Slick. If you have an opinion, it's wrong because you don't have God. And if you have a God and it's not my God, then it's wrong. And if you have a God and it's my God, but you disagree with me, then you're wrong. And I'm the only one that's right because I'm Matt Slick and I'm the ultimate authority of everything that there is to say about the Bible. And if you don't believe that, then you're wrong. So Matt Slick, in essence, has made himself into God. He can't be wrong. At least not about the Bible, because he studied it for so long. So he can't be wrong about that. You can't change his mind about that. Well, you could if you're theologically blah blah blah. No, you couldn't. You would have to prove that you know more about every single little thing of theology than he does, right? To his satisfaction. And even then, he would say that you were wrong because it's not what he wants to think is true. And then he would just be like, well, you're just an atheist, so it doesn't matter anyways, if you happen to be an atheist or a deist. So it would only matter if you were a Christian, but then even then you would still be wrong because you didn't agree with him. I don't know what else I can say about this article that I haven't already said. But last time I tried to conclude on a positive note, and I want to try to do so again. So if you are a homosexual or a bisexual or something that doesn't fit into any category, maybe, I want to say to you as one human to another, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a sin. It's perfectly okay. Period. The end. Okay? And that might just be my opinion, but it also might be right. Now, I don't need a God to tell me that that's right or wrong. All I need is my basic humanity and compassion towards others to determine what's right and what's wrong. If you love somebody, then you love someone. If you hurt someone, then you've hurt someone. One is good, love. The other's not so good, harm. And CARM is creating nothing but harm. Until next time, remember, unless and until we have trebuchet waffles, we can't catapult pancake the syrup onto the multifractal infrastructure of the time-space continuum.